Welcome to the Wise Way to Success podcast. Today I have Bobbi Bidochka. Did I say it right?
Yes.
I said it right. Okay, good. And Bobbi, I'm so happy you're here today to discuss your new book that just came out. When did that book come out, actually?
Last week.
Last week. It is called Sexual Intelligence in Business.
Yeah.
So today we're talking mental health and how to help people in business with their mental health. But sex in business affects people's mental health for a very interesting reason, because people are so uncomfortable with the way they need to behave with each other that their mental health is getting affected because they're so anxious and stressed about, am I supposed to do this? Could I say this to this person? What's okay and what's not okay anymore? Is that right?
I mean, yeah, that's just one of the multiple, mental wellness issues that sort of come coupled with the intersection of sex and business and sex in the workplace. It does start with sexual harassment and sexual violence. Obviously that, that's a mental wellness issue. And so when we can start to prevent and eliminate that, that's important. But right now, in this post-Me Too era that we're living in, the environment is quite confusing for some. It's depending on your workplace culture or the business that you're in and how male-dominated it is or not. It can be hard to navigate that for different reasons with different genders. So depending on, for the men, it's like I'm a bit confused. I don't know. Can I compliment you? If we need to have a meeting, how do I do this? And I don't want to say the wrong thing because they're definitely really more conscious and aware of these issues now. And so they want to, most of them want to do well and they want to show respect. And same with women, it's like, it can be uncomfortable sometimes. He's looking at me. I don't know if he's just looking at me or he's like looking at me, so it's like, and how do I respond to that? And maybe they're my boss and my colleague, and you're not quite sure because people aren't really out in the open, or it's just like lots of like misinterpretations, and just lots of room that just cause you all that extra stress.
And anxiety.
The topic itself is already taboo and a bit uncomfortable for people to talk about.
It's a very anxiety-inducing thing, sex and business, because absolutely, am I doing this right? Is this person crossing a line? Am I crossing a line? Am I doing something? So how do you think people could not feel so scared and fearful in the workplace with their sexuality, like an attractive woman or a woman going into the workforce or anybody? How do they go in not feeling so scared?
Well, I mean, for one thing, just the fact that we can accept that sex and attraction and lust and love and all of these things, they're not going away.
Right.
They're certainly not just gonna, they're not get left at the door at work, right? So these things are present wherever we go. And so being aware of that and equipping yourself with the tools, to deal with it. So right off the bat, you got to know this is coming with you no matter what. No HR policy in the world is ever going to write out, human instincts and human behavior. So this is number one. So just get used to it. You could always buy my book because I give like a nice framework, some points on things that people can do to both navigate that environment, with respect and consent, empathy. So I have a whole framework that can help people figure out what can I do and how should I respond. We definitely need a lot of empathy and patience and learning. It's knowing how, if someone is going to approach you, maybe they like you, mm-hmm. and you don't like them. So instead of getting creeped out, then maybe there's a nicer way to sort of respectfully decline their offer in a way that doesn't make people uncomfortable, right? And so there's all of that. But then there's the reverse. We're coming at it from a completely different point of view. Like, I want to like people. I want to experience crushes or attraction or whatever, because that actually builds this really nice sexual energy inside that you can channel and be more productive at work. So there's lots of benefits to that, and not just, you know, you don't have to do that with your colleagues necessarily. You could do that, you know, with anybody that you're having a relationship or that you like or that you're married to or whatever, and bring that energy into the workplace. It makes people happier. It makes you more productive, more creative. So kind of checking on the fear and say, okay, well, I come with these tools. So now I feel equipped, but going that extra step, it's like, let's embrace, let's accept.
So, I mean, you made a good point. I mean, these things are not going to leave at the door, right? People are going to have these feelings, attraction. What is it? What's that? Pheromones, right? All of that stuff comes with you into the office. It doesn't leave at the door, right? Your human instincts are still there. You still know someone's attractive, even if they're your boss or not. Mm-hmm. So here is where I think that people get scared. The lines. It's always about the line. So you make a very good point. It's part of us. We could use it. We could actually be more creative with that sexual energy. But how do we make sure in work that we're not crossing the lines between business and sex?
Well, there is a couple of research studies that it's been conducted where they actually they surveyed men and women on their awareness of what are acceptable behaviors and what aren't. And as it turns out, that everybody is actually quite clear on the concepts and the things and the behaviors that are acceptable and that are not. The difference kind of comes in the nuance, and the thing that most people want is like, oh, well, I want step 1, 2, and 3, and then I'll know, like, if I ask her out, she's going to say yes, and it's going to go great. Or, you know, if I step 1, 2, and 3, I'm never going to get a sexual harassment case against me because I've followed these 3 steps and it's a silver bullet. It's a guarantee every time. And that's just not the case. There will always be nuances and gray areas. And so what that requires, Robert, is effort. You actually have to take a few moments and listen and learn about that person and what are their boundaries, because everyone's different. Like it doesn't take long to get to know me, to know you can go ahead with sex jokes and stuff like that. I'm cool with it. You want to tell me I look hot today? Please do. You know, but not everybody wants that. But it's just
good tip. I want to reiterate that. Know your audience. I think it's actually a life lesson. That's not just for your workplace. That's about just know people's boundaries. Know what is okay and what's not okay.
Yeah.
Be aware. And you're right, that does take effort to be mindful and aware.
A little bit of effort and a little bit of patience. And then you're done. You're good, you know.
So let's talk about your book. What inspired you, Bobbi, to write a book called, you know, about business and sex? Like what inspired you to write this book? Well,
I mean, I'm a professional. And I'm someone who's also trying to build a business in male-dominated areas. Mm-hmm. And after the Me Too movement, I noticed some things were happening, like people were becoming very uncomfortable, what to say, what to do. And then I start hearing about new HR policies, and suddenly nobody can say nothing to nobody about anything. And it's just like totally sterilized environment.
And isn't that known as the PC movement, like politically correct, like
beyond it's beyond PC, like insanely, like way across the line for that. It's way beyond PC, and to the point where now they have something called, they call it the Mike Pence rule. So Mike Pence, and the former vice president, he would never go to a cocktail party without his wife. If there was alcohol served, he would always have his wife with him. And from that, and from the Me Too movement, came all of these sort of unwritten rules. Like if you're going to have a meeting if a man's going to have a meeting with a woman, it either needs to have glass walls, or the door open, or a third party present. If we're going to travel together for business, like even if it's just across the city, we have to take the same taxi. No, we have to take a different taxi. We can't sit beside each other on the airplane. We cannot be in the same on the same floor in the hotel room, like as if a staircase or elevator ride is going to stop me from like,
Right.
it's just,
Wow.
it's just
Wow.
really, really like even some holiday parties at workplaces now are completely alcohol free because they don't want that chance, that one chance of something happening, mostly because it's bad for PR, but it's also bad for people, you know. So it's just gotten out of hand, and I didn't like it. I'm like, nobody seems to want to say anything because if anybody says anything against me too, you're like, you're an anti-feminist, you're pro-sexual harassment. I'm like, no, okay, settle down, people. This is getting, can we bring it back to like a normal, nice place?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this book is very relevant, especially during these times, because right now we are living in a very fear-based society in which we are making fear-based policies, aren't we? Like this is like control. Like we're so scared of an accusation or somebody crossing a line that we are going to create fear-based policies.
Yeah. And also, if someone does cross the line, people are like, lament them. Like, there's no forgiveness. There's no like, there's just, it just right to the other, like really polarized reactions.
Now, you know what? This is interesting. So, speaking of your book and the subject matter being controversial, I follow you on social media, and I saw that you did a post saying that your book cover was not approved or something. Is that still happening?
Well, I mean, I did do an appeal. So it is what people don't realize, who are not in businesses that relate to sex, even when it's sex education, sexual wellness, femtech, where it's like just reproductive health. Even if you have certain imagery or certain things, all the social media sites will shut you down. And like, I know people in the industry who have had like, they had like 1 million followers and their Instagram gone, bye-bye.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was,
and here we think we're such an open-minded society. We're in 2021, and you have your cover, you know, got rejected because the woman was buttoning her shirt.
yes, because is it buttoning down or buttoning up, right? She's undressing or not, you know. I mean, we knew we were pushing it, but so Amazon's not rejecting the cover. They just won't advertise. I'm not allowed to advertise. And so same with Facebook. So I haven't tried to advertise yet. Facebook lets me have an account. And so far none of my posts have been flagged. I'm trying to keep it, you know, on the business level. But there's, it's an issue. And when you read the policy that Amazon has, it's really, really like, this is all women's stuff, like her shoulder, her hip, round on the hip, bra strap. Like it says nothing about men. If you just take a quick look at the books with like, there's men on covers with their shirts off and all sorts of stuff.
You know what this shows? This shows it's so fascinating because you could actually do an extra chapter on how you have trouble selling a book with a woman on it because of the interpretation of it. But if it was a man, it wouldn't have that same interpretation, right, apparently.
Because women's sexuality is treated differently than sexuality.
So do you think a woman in the workplace who is more attractive, or not even necessarily more attractive, but very comfortable with her sexuality, do you think she is having a harder time than a woman who is, you know, more conservative, you know, not pushing any boundaries, just, you know, coming to work, you know, just in her, you know, regular attire?
I don't think it has anything to do with looks. I think it has everything to do with confidence level and comfort of who you are. Right. So I'm okay with who I am. I'm okay standing up in a boardroom with 20 men and opposing all of them. I have no problem speaking my mind. I would have no problem if a boss ever tried to Like, don't even, like, there's a reason why, because I would just spit in your face and tell you to F off and I'd be gone. Like there's zero tolerance um for, can I swear on here? Oh, for BS.
Yes.
And so people just know, they get a read on me. I'm not going to take no guff. But there are women who you can see, they'll let themselves be pushed around, and then they experience things that people like me don't, which is unfortunate. So I want to give them the power that they need to like stand up for themselves and don't take it. But also when you sort of, when you're in that state of mind, you also have this lens, right? Like we were talking earlier, this fear lens. You're almost looking for these instances to like justify your own fear, right? No, I have to be fearful because look at all this. Not to say it's not there. Believe me, it's there. But you gotta have to stand up for yourself.
So this is also, I wanted to touch on this very briefly though, but this is actually also then how you feel about yourself, self-esteem, boundaries, being assertive. So there's lots of things that actually are very important. So it's not really about how you look, it's about how you feel and how you act. And
Yes.
and people know your boundaries if you have them.
Yeah.
Because you need to have boundaries. What people
And you
don't
have to communicate them too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. I'd be clear with the boundary. Boundaries are, people need them. So I give this really great analogy, which I think is a great analogy, in which red lights. Without them, people are going to keep going. But they know you run a red light, you're going to get a ticket. So you need to know your limit. And I think this is a great thing you just touched on, is that it doesn't matter how you look, doesn't matter who you are, have a boundary, be respectful to yourself, and make sure that people understand these are my boundaries. And don't play with boundaries.
Yeah.
Don't play with them. Do you agree? Right? You're like, yeah. But don't play with boundaries. Boundaries are there for a reason. So if you start to play with the boundaries, you start to play with the respect. Those who work with me, those who follow me know my favorite saying is respect is not negotiable.
That's it. Exactly.
I want to ask you now, how do people find your book? I think it's a must read.
Well, so far so good. I got news today that it is ranked third of hot new releases.
Wow,
So,
that's not easy. That's a really thumbs up to that.
going well so far.
How do people find this book?
On Amazon, you can type "Sexual Intelligence in Business" or Bidochka. I'm the only one in the world, so you can do that, or go to the website. There's a link, www.sexualintelligenceinbusiness.com, or check us out on social media.
I highly recommend that you check out this book. Bobbi, I now call you a wise mentor. You're one of the wise mentor to the wise community. I am on a mission to help people live a better life, a healthier life, a happier life, a life that feels respectful and good. Bobbi, this book is needed. I think that this book is, because it's so uncomfortable, is why it's so important that we talk about it.
Great.
So, Bobbi, I want to thank you so much for coming on a Sunday evening, which we're filming this, and sharing your thoughts, your wisdom. The book is called, again, Sexual Intelligence in Business. You can get it on Amazon. You can check it out. I would follow Bobbi on all social media because she's a good one to follow. Bobbi, I admire what you're doing. I think it takes a lot of guts. I do. I think it takes a lot of guts, because something like this could, automatically come with some backlash, but you're like, I believe in this. I know it's important. I'm going to share the message. And I think that's great. So Bobbi, thank you so much for coming. Thank you all for tuning in to the Wise Way to Success podcast. I hope to see you soon. Have a wise day. Thank you.